What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? Hey, it's another episode of Candyology where we talk about love, sex, and relationships. And it doesn't matter where we go. I can go all over the place, right? And so, just in case you are tuning in for the very first time, my name is Candy J. I am a certified clinical sexologist and a relationship coach. I specialize in marriage counseling, premarital counseling, dating after divorce, infidelity, like postpartum depression, all kinds of things. You know where you can go, right, to see all the things that I specialize. But I definitely specialize in putting the oohs and the ahs back into your relationship. Now, Candyology Radio always has some great guests, y'all. Great guests. And mind you, today we have a special one near and dear to my heart because of the way we met and her spirit. Man. Okay, so I'm gonna let her introduce her own self. Hey, girl. Hey. What's your name, Chad? What's your
name? Well, my name is Lakisha Clark, but I go by Keish. I'm a mother of three, a single mother of three that is currently dating, a divorcee. Let's see what else. I'm free spirited. I have my own podcast. I make waist beads, body butter, candles.
You better plug yourself, girl.
But yeah, I'm just me. I'm just Keish.
She's just Keish. Yeah, you're going to find out a little bit about Keish today. But let me go ahead and start off with where they can find you.
Yes. So you can find me on Facebook and Instagram on Lakisha Clark. You can find my podcast, Dealing with the Truth podcast, on both Instagram and Facebook. You can find my photography, because I do photography as well, on Keish Photography on Facebook and Instagram. My podcast, Dealing with the Truth podcast, on Instagram and Facebook.
So let me dive into one thing already, right?
Yes.
So how did Dealing with the Truth come about?
Dealing with the Truth came about, it was pretty much a spin-off from me and a girlfriend. We had a show called Two Queens, One Truth. And we talked about relationships and just dealing with selves in relationships. Then she disappeared.
Oh no!
Yeah, I think she just had a lot going on. Yeah. She was in a new relationship, focused on that. She was also in school. I think she just probably took the time to just focus on what was her priority.
Right.
And so I just made a conscious decision to, like, okay, well, I still want to continue on with this conversation of dealing with truth. So I am going to create my own podcast.
Yes, so, and I want y'all to make sure that you tune in to Dealing with the Truth, because she's crazy and I love it. But so let me tell the people how we met, right? Yes. We went to the same church. We're not even gonna say what church it was, right? Yes. And let me tell you all something. She was at the door. And every church has somebody that greets you at the door. Yes. But when I tell you, my face just like lit up when I saw her. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. She might be my people. And I was there for one of my friend's birthdays. Yes. Shout out to Arbora, because she just turned 40. Woo!
Happy birthday!
And I'm sorry I missed it, child. I'll explain later. However, but I was there for her friend's birthday, and I think it was you and another lady that sat with me, because she was doing other things.
Yes.
And I've always loved your spirit, child. Just always. And so we became to be in groups together, and I honestly think that the journey keeps people together, and that's why the show is called The Journey Step. Right. But the journey keeps people together, whether you talk once a month or twice a year, it doesn't matter, right?
Right.
Especially when you connect with people.
Right.
So one of the things that drew me to you, and I'm gonna let you tell your story, is I was going through my own divorce at the time too. Well, let me take that back. I had just finished the divorce and was going through the aftermath of the divorce. And your
with
story,
me.
right? Your
Yes.
story caught me. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about your journey?
Okay. Oh gosh.
Where to begin?
Where to begin?
How did you meet him? Start there.
Okay. So how did I meet the ex-husband?
Mm-hmm.
I met him while I was working. We were really, really young. I used to work at Sam's,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just a cashier there, and he saw me and really wanted to get my number. It took him 3 times.
I mean, you're gorgeous. Hello. Oh.
Thank you. Yeah, it took him 3 times, but and eventually I, went on ahead and gave him my number. Yes. Yes.
So he was like just a customer,
Yeah,
random person coming in.
Yeah, just a
So
customer
wait a
came
minute,
in.
3 times. So he came
Yeah.
back to the store 3 times just to see you.
He had a gas station. He had a gas station, and he got a lot of his materials and supplies and merchandise.
Okay,
So of
that
course
makes
he would
sense.
see me on a regular basis because he needed to go up there and get some things. So yeah, so that's how he saw me.
So how do we go from first date to married?
Oh wow.
This is the journey, girl. You gotta talk about the journey.
I'm gonna talk about the journey. I am gonna be very transparent and honest, brutally honest. So the first date was fun, and I was dating somebody else at the time. He was dating somebody else at the time too. But we were both open about that. We were both like about the person that we were dating, so it was just like, well, let's see how we flow, and so yeah, that's how it came about. And then 3 months later, I found out I was pregnant.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Skirt. Wait, hold on. 3 months later.
3 months later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How did he deal with that news?
He was great with it. I was not.
Oh.
Because I didn't know him. I didn't know him. And I was freaking out because it's like, oh my gosh, I'm having a baby by a stranger.
Ooh.
That's how I felt.
How old were you at the time?
I was only 22 when I found out I was pregnant, and 23 when I had my first.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, so it was very scary for me. I was just beginning to explore me, get my own place, and everything, and then I found out I'm pregnant, and I'm just like, crap, okay. So I was just like, well, let's see how this goes, how me and him go. It was great at first because we like to put our representative in front of each other.
That mask
in front of each other. So a lot of impressing each other, trying to win each other's hearts. Yeah, I think once my baby turned 2, that's when 3, no, actually 3. I believe she was 3, about to turn 3, or turn 3, because we got married on her birthday. Yeah, that's when we got married.
Wow.
Yeah, and there was 2. We already had 2 kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, so y'all got married on the baby's birthday?
Yeah,
was did. That intentional?
That was not intentional. We wanted to go to the court house to go ahead and do it, but the lady, when I called, she was like, you know what? I know a great pastor, and I think she was just promoting her church. Looking back at it, and she was like, we'll come to your house.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, cool. So she came to our house, and the pastor came and married us.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty unorthodox too.
Yeah,
though.
yeah, very.
So
Very.
yeah, so in hindsight, she might have
Yeah. I think she was promoting her church, which is cool. We never went, but. We never went, and I didn't even think about it until afterwards. I was like, wait, was she promoting her church? And looking back at the pictures of the pastor, you can kind of tell he may not want to be there, but because she was big on promoting the church, and he was just like, all right, fine, and I'm like, he probably was just like, this is some crazy stuff. This is a crazy technique to bring some people to our church, but okay.
And y'all never went to the daggone church.
We never went to the church.
That's crazy to me.
I didn't think that we needed to.
So the plan failed.
The plan failed. Wah, wah, wah.
So by this time, you guys have 2 kids.
We had 2 kids.
And so when did you start feeling like this is not the person that I need to be
The
with?
beginning.
So talk about that.
In the beginning, there was a lot of things I did not like about him, but the one thing that I did like about him, I held on to that. He was very homebodied, but too homebodied. Because I was like, oh, he's homebody, he's not going to cheat on me. That I've kind of put them two together. Oh, he's not going to cheat on me because he stays home 24/7. Lies. Lies. He ended up cheating on me at work.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, but that was just one of the things, you know. There was a lot that I did not like about him, but I settled. You know, I was unaware that you can really choose who you want to be with. I just thought that the man choose and we just kind of adjust, you know.
Where do you think that came from?
My mom. My mom.
Is that something that she said, or is that something that she implied
that
or did?
She did. So, you know, you kind of follow suit, you know. So you see what your mom doing, you see, you know, I'm sure my mom saw what her mom was doing, my aunt was doing, you know. So we all was just, you know, creating a cycle, you know, that of course wasn't good for any of us because, like, looking at hindsight, nobody was with the person that
right.
Nobody's with the person they married. Nobody.
And so for you to make that inference now, right?
Yeah.
So at the time you couldn't see that. Everybody had done the cycle of
right,
it.
Right.
But nobody was together.
Right. Nobody ended up staying together. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So did you ever talk to them about how you were feeling in the marriage?
I did. My granny and my aunt, they lived in Detroit, so I really didn't reach out to them to talk to them. I talked more to my mom, and I talked to my sister. My sister was never married. She's been in relationships, but she's never been married. And it just seemed like I just had to try and try, but it got to a point where it's like, why am I always the one that's trying and the other person isn't? I don't understand that. Why do I have to keep giving my all and the other person isn't?
Right.
I don't get that.
Right.
And so I stopped talking to him about it. I kept it in because I had to realize, looking back now, they're both hurt. They're both hurt people. Hurt people. Hurt people respond by hurt. They don't respond by wise, mature, healthy answers. And so I ended up in a group, a fitness group. Ended up in a fitness group and got close with one of the ladies in the group. We had a little squad, and you know, I finally spoke about my marriage and how I wasn't happy. And there was a couple of other people. There was a girl that I worked with, shout out to Asufa, that I expressed the same thing. Both of them was like, you know what, whatever makes you happy. If you want to leave, leave. I want you happy. Right. And you keep talking about this like you're not happy in this marriage. So I'm not going to tell you to stay. You know, I would hope you would, but I'm not going to pressure you. I'm not going to make that your agenda. Right. You do what you want to do, what you feel you need to do. And I'm standing behind you on it.
Did you guys seek counseling?
We did.
Okay.
We did seek counseling. I didn't feel like it worked. I think it was more, I felt, and I'm not saying that this is how he felt, but this is how I felt. I felt like he was just being okay with it. Oh, she's perfect. I have no issues with her. And here I am blurring out all these issues that I have, but I'm perfect.
Right.
That's weird.
So was he putting on a front in counseling?
I felt like that.
Okay.
I felt like that. You know, and just to get it over with.
Right.
Get it over with so he can move on and then pretend that he's working on it, and then after a couple of months fall back into the original him, because that's what he always did. And I held on to that, hoping that it would be a permanent change and not a temporary change.
Absolutely.
And finally, I realized this is not a permanent change. This is who he is. And I didn't accept him for who he was. I didn't like him for who he was. And that's not fair to him.
Right.
And that's not fair to me.
So let me ask you this question. Do you think it was necessarily that he was a bad person?
No.
Or he wasn't just compatible with
He just wasn't compatible to me. That's it.
You know, and but that's great that you can say that, because there are so many people that are like, oh no, they were just a bad person.
Right.
And I'm like, no, you might have just not been
Right.
compatible with that person.
Right. Because I mean, everybody's different. Everybody's different. I can't project how I think your relationship should be based on how I feel. You may feel totally different, and this is what works for my marriage, and this is what works for my relationship, and I need to back off. And I think a lot of times we tend to do that. Yeah, a whole lot of times. Not even sometimes, all the time we tend to do that. And so yeah, he's not a bad guy. He's not a bad guy at all. He's just incompatible for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so how did y'all get to, okay, now we married, we got 3 kids, to, okay, we're gonna get a divorce?
So he tended to bring it up whenever we get into an argument or something. He'll bring up divorce, and I'd be like, okay. Because I'm the type of person, I'm not going to force you to be with me if you don't want to be with me.
Right.
So if you really feel like divorce is your option, then okay, let's do it. And it never played out. And I think he probably used that as like, I want to see what she says, because I need to know if she really loves me and values me, and she's going to chase me and stuff. And I never did. And then finally, the last straw happened, and the last time he brought up the divorce, and I was just like, do you really not love me? And he was like, no, not right now. And I was like, okay. And he was just kind of like, again, thrown off by it, because again, I didn't chase him, I didn't beg him, I didn't plead with him. And he was just like, we're just different. I was like, you're right, we are very different, very different. I said, the one thing that's different about me and you is that I invest in you. I get to know your lives, I get to know your family, I get to know what you don't like. I do the things that you like for me to do. I don't get that in return. And he was like, well, no, I changed my mind. I want to show you that I can be the man you need me to be. And I was like, okay, but deep down inside, I was like, no, we need to go ahead and make it official that we are going to get a divorce. But I for a couple months, I stayed into it, and then I finally was just like, it's a disservice for me and you. And so I told him, no, I really do want a divorce. No, I really do.
How long had y'all been married at this point?
We were married for what, 15 years? Yeah, or together for 15. Yeah. Yeah. So we were deep in it, past 10 years, you know. But I knew deep down inside, it wasn't me that he loved, it was the things that he loved that I did. Which is 2 different things, and people don't understand that.
Please understand, those are 2 different
things. Different things. It's not the person you love, it's what the person does for you. Yeah, and you know, and I get that men can be, some men, I'm gonna say some men, can be very conditional, and some women can be very unconditional.
Absolutely.
And I was the unconditional. But then I realized that I deserve the right kind of love.
Right.
And so it was so ugly. I'm not gonna lie, the divorce was pretty ugly.
What happened that made it ugly?
I was big on, I'm not gonna put you on child support.
Mm.
I think we just need to go separate ways, but share custody.
Mm-hmm.
He was not. He was like, no, I'm gonna put you on child support, and I'm gonna have custody of the kids.
Mm.
And he had money, and I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I was the one that moved out.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't.
Oh wow.
So he won.
I remember you saying that.
He won. He got custody of the kids.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so what did that do to you as a mother, having custody of the kids? And
it made me feel I wasn't worthy.
mm.
I wasn't good enough. I failed as a mother.
Mm.
I failed as a mom. And that was such a huge struggle for me, because I was the one that was doing most of the stuff, most of the parenting, But now looking back, it happened for the best.
Mm.
It really did happen for the best.
And why do you say that?
My kids get a life that I never had as a kid. And that gave me time to spend time with my mom and rebuild our relationship before she passed.
Mm. So, pause. So, how did the kids deal with that, though?
My kids was hurt.
Mm.
Ooh, when they say trauma starts at the early stages of life, it really do. It really does. And my kids felt, my oldest daughter, she saw her dad cry a lot and felt like she needed to be there for him and be that shoulder for him. And then also be the mother. She felt like she had to be the mother.
Wow.
Because I wasn't there.
Right.
And my middle one had a lot of anger. Developed a lot of anger so bad and stressed so bad that she started getting gray hair.
Oh my God.
Gray
At how
hair.
old?
What was it? 12?
My God.
Yeah. Gray
Wow.
hair. My baby has gray hair now.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's just not little bits, it's big chunks. Big chunks of gray hair just throughout her head, like right here in the front. So now I have to color it so that way. She was so stressed. I mean, just getting into it with the teachers at the school. My daughter never did that, but
she had to figure out a way to act out,
cry
out.
Yes. And
to deal with her emotions.
my son, he was pretty young. Yes, he was hurt that mommy and daddy wasn't together. But he was happy to see that daddy found somebody so fast within 3 months of me leaving the house.
Wait, rewind. 3 months?
Yeah, within 3 months, she pops up.
So do you think she was already there?
She could have been. I don't know. She could have been. But I do know that when a man, and this is some men, I say, when a man is hurt and not used to being alone and by themselves, and they're uncomfortable, they're going to find somebody else to replace that.
And they also haven't dealt with their own issues.
And yes.
Wow. So how did you feel when you knew that he was with somebody else that fast?
It's so funny. I knew it was going to happen. I knew it. Like every step of the way he was acting, I knew it because I knew him. And so my intuition was kicking in. It was like, he's going to do this. And that's exactly what happened. Right. And I was more like, gosh, why I got to be right. Like so upset that I see this and it comes true.
Right.
And I'm like, dang. Like I was more angry with me. Why do I have to know this?
So you internalize.
Yes.
Man.
Yes. And then I felt hurt and I felt like I wasn't enough. I was never enough. Never enough. That it was so easy for you to find somebody to replace me.
Right.
You know. But then I was just like, but wait, I ain't like him. So can I really be mad?
No.
No. Because I didn't like him to begin with.
Is he still with the woman?
They're married.
Oh, wow.
He proposed to her, I think, within the same week that the divorce was finalized.
Shut the front door, the back, and the side.
Yeah.
How did your daughters feel bad? I know you said your son was like, oh, daddy got somebody else, but.
And he was happy. It's like, yay, daddy got somebody else. And he was just like, Mom, you need to get somebody else. You need to find somebody. You need to get married. You know, because he thinks that's the way,
right.
Which it can be the way, but you have to find yourself and know yourself first before you jump into something else. And that's something that I didn't know. Right. And so I was just like, son, it will happen eventually, but just not right now. And he was just like, okay. But my oldest, she felt like it was very uncomfortable for both of my daughters when she came along, because it just felt like they were being forced to get to know her and get to know her kids and stuff. And so they was just like, can we not do this right now?
Absolutely.
But they was like, no, you gonna know this woman. Wow. Even my middle one lashed out because she's angry. She's like, I don't want to get to know her and stuff. And I remember her him actually calling me, upset with me of how she was acting, because he was telling them that she's just a friend. And I'm just like, but his mom was like, you better get used to his girlfriend. And so like everybody knew, everybody, including me, knew that this was the girlfriend. But the crazy thing was, he was still trying to get back with me.
Jesus.
And I'm like, why you trying to get, you got somebody. You got somebody. So are you intentionally trying to show me and hurt me and like, hey, I can get somebody, I got somebody else, when in reality you really want me back? How do you think that's gonna work? How do you think that you really think I'm gonna come back?
Right.
If anything, that's going to push me away even further, because my intuition was right. My intuition was right. So it pushed me back even further, because it was just like, no, you don't want me. You just using her to throw her in my face to make me feel bad and like I'm not enough. And yeah, that's exactly what you're getting, exactly what you wanted without me, though.
Did you develop a relationship with her?
I tried. Okay. I did try eventually, because I've moved on. Right. I moved on and started dating somebody else, that you knew. And so I did try to develop a relationship with them both. Because ultimately in the end, I want him happy. Right. So if she really makes him happy, then I'm all for it. Right. Because now we're all a family. We still, even though I may not have custody of my kids, I still see my kids. My kids still spend time with me. Right. So we are still raising the kids as a big old family. Right. And so, but there was a time where my oldest deals with depression and was very suicidal. Especially when COVID first happened. It seemed like all her dark demons came out, because she didn't have her friends to go see and to keep herself occupied and busy. And so she literally had to face her, and she wasn't capable or ready to face or able to fight and face her demons. And so, when they're with me, it seemed very peaceful. When they're with me, but when they were with him, there was a lot of times there was like a lot of drama, and she would want to commit suicide. And I'm not saying that whatever that is going on there is what is causing her to want to feel that way, but I do know that she probably, and because I asked her, do you feel abandoned that your dad is not there for you and he just quickly went and jumped into a relationship? And she was like, yes. She didn't have her father. You know, he just quickly replaced her with a woman, you know, and I think that's when she learned her value, because she relied on her dad to give her her value. And so after that, she started relying on little boys to give her her value.
So you just tied two
Yes.
things together that people don't understand how this all happened.
Yes.
So she started to act out and was dating different.
Yes. I mean, she was, because, she, even when we were together, we allowed her to have boyfriend. Because, I mean, they weren't really boyfriend, girlfriend, but they were at school. So we were okay with it. You know, they wanted to spend time. She wanted to spend time with her boyfriend and their family. I was, you know, we were fine with it. But it kind of flipped, her mental flipped to where she was really placing her value on them giving it to her. And I saw it. And I was just like, you have to stop. Like, all the stuff that I'm learning on this journey of getting to know me and getting to know my worth and my value and just even loving me, I'm trying to instill those things into all three of my kids.
Right.
You know, because I don't want them to repeat my cycle that I learned.
Right.
And I was like, you have to stop. You know, I understand you want to be strong and not want to show your emotions, because I was the same way. I didn't cry, not in front of anybody at least. But I'll say, cry. It's okay to cry when you're heartbroken, but you have to realize that you need to put more into you first before you can put into somebody else. And it got to a point where I was like, okay, you're not allowed to date. And if you want to date, you can do that when you move out.
Wow.
I had to be that parent.
I mean, but sometimes you got to do what you have to do.
My mama had to do it.
Stability and health.
My mom had to do it, and I realized at that moment that I was like, I'm my mom, and that's 18-year-old Keish.
Wow.
And I just told her, I was like, I understand you want me to allow you to live your life, but you only 18 and you still live with me, because she's currently living with me right now. And I was like, you know, until you have it together mentally, you can date. But right now, you cannot date while you live with me.
Right.
And if you want to go behind my back, be prepared to not live with me. Be prepared. And I assume that if you're going to do that, you have a plan. You have a plan of where you're going to go. And she was like, well, where I'm going to go? I was like, well, you got your dads and you got your nanas. And she was like, but dad says I can't live with him. And I was like, well, that's probably because you're not utilizing the tools that your therapist is giving you, because she's been in therapy. So you got to utilize the tools that your therapist is giving you, that so that way we know that you can make it.
Pause. Can you say that again?
You got to utilize the tools that your therapist is giving you. And you know what? A lot of times we rely on somebody else to fix us. A lot of us do that. I want you to fix me. I don't want to fix me. I don't want to deal with my demons. You got to deal with them. That's not fair.
Nope.
And that's how relationships are nowadays. I was one of them.
You unconsciously look for somebody that's going to fix you.
And give me my value. And when you don't give me my value, that's an issue.
Right.
I was one of them. And so she was just like, okay, you know, I mean, I gave her choices. Right. But I was like, I'm not changing my mind, because she really was trying, and I was just like, I'm sorry, but I'm not changing my mind. It's just like if you were at work and you don't like some of the rules at work and you just go against their rules anyway, you think they're gonna be there?
Right.
No, they're gonna fire you.
Right.
Same here.
Right.
Same here. You're learning.
That's tough love, but
Tough
she needed
love.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So were all the kids in therapy?
Yes. Except for the little one. My son, he wasn't in therapy. I mean, the younger they are, it's not so traumatic when they see a separation. Yeah, at first I mean, you know, I could be wrong. It could be really traumatic for some kids, but it seemed like he adjusted very well.
Well, kids are resilient.
Yeah.
I mean, I have several therapists that are play therapy,
Mhm.
with kids, and it just depends on what they saw.
Yeah.
To be quite honest,
Yeah.
and how quickly that things began to be normal again, whether or not they can just
Right.
go ahead and, ooh, okay, I'm all right, I'm
Right.
good.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it just depends.
Yeah, that's true.
But so your other daughter, how did she deal with everything?
She's a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
Where my oldest, she's very mature for her age. She knows how to communicate. She can be very emotional,
Mm-hmm.
but she still knows how to communicate. My middle one is fly at the mouth, and she will tell you how she feels any kind of way, and there were times when I had to put her in a chokehold, but I learned that don't work. That's not going to get the results that I need.
No.
It's not.
No.
Yelling and putting your kid in a chokehold is not going to work. I had to learn that these are little humans at the end of the day, just like I am. They have feelings too, just like I do. And as much as she was lashing out, she was crying for help.
Right.
And so I wanted I wanted them to have a safe space. I wanted my home to be a safe space for them to feel like they can tell me anything and how they feel about me, how they feel about dad, or just anybody. Right. And so now we're at that point where she can tell me how she feels. And she'd be like, "No offense, Mom." I was like, "None taken." None taken.
Love it.
Because I want her to be able to process those emotions and get to a healthy space in the end.
And let me ask you this, because something you said just clicked in my spirit though. You know how old school parents, especially old school black parents, is like, you don't have any emotion, you don't have no feelings, you do what I say, you say, and that's it. And didn't realize, I feel like, okay, yes, these are little humans, right?
Yes.
They have all kinds of feelings and emotions. Yes. And if you don't deal with it, so many black people I know swept it under the rug and never dealt with it. And then now they're 40 and 50, the children are 40 and 50, and just now dealing with some of the things that the childhood trauma happened because nobody spoke about it.
Right.
And like, I want to just commend you as a parent, because therapy is needed.
Yes, it is.
It's definitely needed.
And I get so excited when I hear a black woman talking about, "Oh, I'm going to school to be a therapist," and I'm like,
right,
because we need it. We need it.
Absolutely.
Right in the beginning of the divorce, I remember crying out to God, "What's wrong with me?" And then within that week, me and my ex-husband was in mandatory therapy, family therapy. But it really wasn't about family. It was about how the trauma can come about within a person, and how it can grow if we don't deal with it. So it's really about talking about you. And it wasn't cheap, because we had to pay.
Oh, wow.
We both had to pay. But I felt like this was what I asked for. This is what I prayed about. God, what's wrong with me? Show me. How can I fix this? And I took that therapy very serious. I was on the front row.
So glad.
And I still input a lot of the things that I learned. I'm always self-reflecting, looking back at me and my childhood. And I'm like, okay, so this is why I am the way I am. This is why I react the way I react. So I can see why my kids act that way.
And it's about recognizing that and then changing that.
And changing it. Yes.
Because it's one thing, you can see it all day.
Yeah.
But if you don't
Yeah.
make
Well, that's
the
just
conscious,
me.
right.
A lot of people, but that's just me.
Oh my goodness. One of my clients says that all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
No, this is what you choose
exactly.
to be.
Like PTSD, when you change your behavior, that's how your healing begins.
But that's uncomfortable. And a lot of people don't know how to deal with being uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
I'm learning to embrace it because I want to change. I want to evolve. I want to be a better person. So I had to face me. Especially after my last relationship, I kept asking God, reveal me.
Right.
Reveal me. Reveal me. And when I tell you.
That face though.
Be careful what you ask for.
Right. Hello?
If you pray for it, you better be ready.
Be ready.
You better be ready.
Be ready.
And I was ready. So he reveals me every day. And sometimes he reveals me without even revealing me. A girlfriend will tell me about whatever she's going through with her and her boo thing. And I look and I'm like,
oh,
I did that. Oh, no, that's not good. I can't do that no more.
And one thing I always tell people is that what you go through is not always for you; it's for somebody else.
Yeah.
Their test and testimony is real.
Yes.
Right. And so, as a therapist, right, I always say this: experience and education are the two things that you need to look for when you're looking for somebody to be a coach or counselor or therapist.
Yes.
Because everything that I specialize in, I've been through.
Yes.
And that's why I can relate and sympathize and empathize and then tell you how to get out of it using the knowledge and understanding that I've come with both education and the experience. Man, let me tell you. Woo! And one day, I have to come on your show and tell you the story. Woo, Father. Because remember, the reason why I even connected was the divorce. Because, I was married for 15 years. So it was, man.
Yeah.
I want to go back to something that you started to talk about, but I paused you for a second.
Yeah.
You said you got a closer relationship with your mom during this time of divorce.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that and their journey up until she passed away?
So me and my mom really didn't have a good relationship. I disliked my mom a lot. My mom always gave us tough love. She never gave us soft love. It was always tough. A lot of times me and my sister would communicate with each other and we would always talk about everything that my mom did to hurt us. But going through that therapy made me look at my mom as a human and not a mother.
Right.
And I gained compassion and sympathy for her because I'm like, dang, my mom must have went through a lot to be this person that she is. So I cannot dislike her anymore. I need to tell her I understand now why you were the way you were. Right. And I told her on her deathbed, I said, Mom, you may felt like you weren't the best mom, but you taught me so much within the bad things you did and the good things you did. So I don't want you to think that you're leaving this earth without putting a positive impact on us. Because at the end of the day, no matter what you did, we can utilize that positively.
Right.
And I told her, I was like, and when you pass, I want you to be my guardian angel and keep watching over me. I don't know if you believe that, but I do. So I want you to be one of my ancestors. Just putting that out there.
What kind of things made you not like your mom?
So I was molested when I was 13. And instead of my mom taking the time for me to go get counseling and seek help, she brushed it under the rug and never talked about it. Even when I brought it up, she didn't like for me to bring it up. And then the things that I saw that she was doing to my sister, when things didn't go her way, my mom was very violent, very violent. And my sister, she was more fragile than me. I was tough like my mom. I had my mouth like my mom.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, come on, what you got to say? Because I got something for you too. My sister, she was all like pleasing my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so when my mom would hit her just because she knows she could, it my sister, my mom would mentally beat my sister. I mean, she did it to me too, but it didn't hit me as hard as it hit her, and I began to become very protective for my sister.
Right.
You know, more protective. And my mom, it's so funny. My mom was like, "You need to protect your sister."
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she meant you need to protect her from me. Because there was times when I did.
Right.
I protected my sister from my own mom, you know. So you know.
Did you ever physically fight her?
Yeah, we physically fought. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. My sister didn't. She just sat there and got the punches. For me, I'm like, well, a lot of times I ran. For the most part, I ran. But there was times when I couldn't run because she like had me all wrapped up with her body, and then I literally would have to fight her to get her off of me. I would, you know, get off of me. Like she held me down, you know, wrapped her legs around me, wrapped her arms around me to where I couldn't move, you know.
Did she ever apologize for all of these things?
No.
Not even on her deathbed?
Mm-mm.
Wow.
No.
So let me ask you this, because and I don't think you've said it yet on air, but I know your mom had cancer.
Yes.
So even during this time, how did you change your view of your mom to be able to take care of her, even though that you had this feeling for her?
So I began the process before the cancer came, but it wasn't a big transition until the cancer came and I began therapy. That's when the transition changed to where I was like, wait a minute. I don't know what she went through because my mom really didn't talk about all the bad things that she went through. You can tell she must have went through some things, but she didn't really vocalize it. She didn't like to vocalize it. But I can just tell, and I literally just like let it go. I literally just let it go, and because at the end of the day, she's human, and I realized that, and I realized that she was acting out like 4-year-old Monica. Monica never really evolved and grown into the mature, wise old lady. She didn't. She really didn't. She just internalized it. She was drinking and smoking really bad, and that's what she died from, was throat cancer.
Wow, man.
Yeah, and watching and seeing her go through that process, because I was the one that was mainly taking her to her chemo and radiation sessions. I just was like, oh my gosh, like it's so much bigger than just drinking and smoking. What causes you to do that? What causes stress? She was stressed out.
Things that you don't deal with.
Because of things she never dealt with. And it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger to kill her.
Wow. And so at this point where you're taking care of her, how were you coming to terms with, okay, she's really about to pass away?
It was hard, but you know how sometimes people feel like they can hear God talk to them? He was telling me. So I was mentally kind of getting prepared for it, because I was already told it. Right. You know, and I didn't share that with anybody because I didn't want anybody looking at me crazy, or telling me, oh my God, why would you speak negative things about it? I never said anything about it, never. But he had already told me.
Right.
So I just mentally got myself prepared as much as I could, because you really can't prepare for it. You really can't. Nope. And was there for her, you know, it was even to the point, you know, like when she went into hospice, she came home. I wanted her home. So she was home during the last weeks of her life, and I would change her diaper, help her to the restroom. It at that point it didn't bother me, and it made me think, wow, you come to this earth as a baby, you leave as a baby.
Absolutely.
It's so funny. It's like you come to the earth and she's caring for you, and then you leave the earth and you're caring for her.
So at this time, did you have anybody else helping you?
Yes, my brother was
system?
there. I don't think he could handle it as strong as I could. There was a lot of inner things that he was dealing with. I mean, there was a point in time where he was so frustrated because my mom couldn't talk. Her vocal box was taken away. So a lot of the time she was writing, but at this point she really couldn't talk or like really speak what was wrong with her. And a lot of times I think it's because she stayed up. She was so fearful of death, she tried to stay up. She tried not to go to sleep. And so it got to the point where she really couldn't even communicate to you. And my brother was getting frustrated. And at this time I had a part-time job because I had stopped working, and then I was like, okay, I need a little bit of income coming in. So I got a part-time job. And during the times I worked, my brother would care for her, or my mom's best friend would care for her. And then we have a nurse that come in too. And so one day I was coming home from work, and you hear him yelling, "What do you want? What do you want?"
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, oh my gosh. And my brother, when he gets frustrated, he gets really angry. And that's my little brother lashing out. I noticed that when you're angry, that's your little you lashing out. And so I pulled him to the side. I was like, hey, just ask for these three things. Are you hungry? Do you need to go to the bathroom? Are you in pain? Because she knew how to do this, and she knew how to do this.
The same things that the babies do.
And so he was like, okay. I said, that will help you to understand her, and that he won't get so frustrated.
Right.
Because I'm sure it hurt to see his mom in this state. And I mean, he's the youngest out of all of us.
Right.
So it's just like, oh my gosh, like how to process it, who's going to take care of it? Because my mom was always letting him in and out of the house, kicking him out, bringing him back in, kicking him out, bringing him back in, because he wasn't at this. He just was very rebellious, like me, but even more rebellious. And she didn't know how to handle it, how to deal with it, And so, yeah, it worked for him. The three questions, and it worked. He's like, okay. It looked like I just had to like calm everybody down. Like my sister, she wasn't there as much, and I think she had a lot of stuff going on personally. And I guess she had a conversation with mom that she wouldn't be here to help. But the last week she was there, and I told her, I was like, you need to come. I really feel she's transitioning. She seems to be transitioning and stuff, and so she finally came to be there. But I mean, she did help out from time to time, just not as often as I would have hoped. But again, they had a conversation that I was unaware of, and my mom failed to tell me that. My mom was big on putting all of us against each other.
Wow.
Because she wanted to get what she wanted. And she felt like, well, I'm going to put them against her to make her feel guilty about not being here. Not telling us that they had this conversation and she was okay with it.
Wow. Even manipulative to the very end.
Manipulative to the very end.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, how does that make you feel, knowing that now that that's what she was doing?
If I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised because that's my mama. It did cause a little friction between me and my sister. And but then my sister explained it to me, and I was just like, oh, okay.
Wow.
All right.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Because you would think that even by then she would be willing to be like, okay,
yeah,
this is what's happening with. Wow.
No, and that's probably why, I don't know, but that was probably why my sister kind of kept her distance anyway, because my mom was making her feel so guilty and so bad for her wanting to deal with her issues. You know, my sister had her dad passed away. I mean, she didn't know her dad, but she got to meet him and got to form some kind of relationship with him, and then he's gone. And then my mom comes with cancer. So it's just like, that was hard. And then on top of that, she had a stressful job. And it's like, people do not look at what other people are going through. They just put these expectations on you without getting to know you, and without getting to know what you're going through. And
have you ever seen, no, you probably haven't. There's this video that they show to a lot of teachers, right? And it's, I want to say it's from Chick-fil-A video, and they have, everybody has on a bubble on top of their head.
Okay.
And in that bubble, it shows you what they're going through.
No, I haven't seen it.
It's amazing. If I can find it, I'll forward it to you.
Yeah.
But it's showing how human people are, because you never know.
You never know
what people are going through.
Right.
Like, one person had cancer written across their head, and the other person was in an abusive relationship, and then another, a kid was facing bullying at school, and all of these different things. And it's just showing you how human people are. You have to take in consideration why people may react the way they act. And mind you, you're not responsible for anybody's feelings.
Right.
But you want to take compassion and show empathy.
And stop taking everything so personal.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Stop taking everything. So I work in customer service. And a lot of times people come in with attitudes and not having a good day, and they're taking it down on you. I know how to change the atmosphere. I know how to change the way that they are to resolve the issue at hand.
Shift the mood.
I know how to shift the energy. A lot of people don't. A lot of people process it into them and lash back out.
Right, that part.
And then wonder why. Well, why they didn't do this? Why were they like this? Da 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 da. And I'm like,
you just don't know.
You just don't know. You have no idea what people are going through. And so I really make it a priority to not take how people react to me personally.
Yes.
Because I'm learning we all are going through something. All of us are going through something. All of us haven't healed from something. And we react as 4 or 5-year-old us.
Right. And Keisha, there is so much more I want to ask you, but we're out of time. So that means you just got to come back.
I have to come back.
So guys, if you have enjoyed this conversation, please put hashtag the journey in the replay, or if you're watching right now, put hashtag the journey, and tell me that you want Keisha back. I would have her back anyway. But I want to thank you so much for coming today. Again, tell people how they can find you on Instagram.
You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, Lakisha Clark, but you can also find my podcast on the same 2 platforms, Dealing with the Truth podcast, and then also Keish Photography.
She's a jack of all trades.
I'm a jack of all trades. I love being very creative and artsy, so yeah.
Absolutely. And of course, don't be stingy. Like, share, subscribe to both of our podcasts, Facebook, Instagram, and share with somebody that may need to hear this story. And remember that you guys are not alone. So, this has been Candyology, Love, Sex, and Relationships, and I'm wishing you love-filled days and orgasmic nights. Have a great day.